The refrigerator door is closed. The kitchen is dark. Not movie dark, real dark. The kind where your eyes are still hunting for edges that aren't lit anymore. The power died 41 minutes ago. And here's the thing about that door. Behind it, right now, there's cold air. Trapped. Enough to keep your food safe for maybe 4 hours if you keep it sealed. 4 hours. That's a resource with a clock running on it. And the clock started 41 minutes ago, whether you were paying attention or not. Listen. You hear that? No. You don't. That's the point. The hum you never noticed, the refrigerator, the furnace fan, the little electric heartbeat of a modern house, it's gone. And the silence it leaves behind is the loudest thing in the room. Most people in these first 41 minutes do nothing useful at all. They open the fridge to look inside. They flip a switch that won't work. They stand at the window. And that, standing there, waiting for it to come back on, that's the mistake that cost them. Stay with me. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly what to do in the first 10 minutes, the first hour, the first day, and the first week, in that order, because the order is what keeps you alive. Not gear. Order. My name is Marcus Deal. I spent a good part of my life in places where the supply trucks stopped coming and nobody was going to fix it for you. I've run comms in a grid down after a hurricane and watched a neighborhood come apart by day 3. I've packed wounds in the field with less than what's in your bathroom cabinet. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to hand you the checklist I wish everyone had before the lights went out. So let me tell you the thing nobody sat you down and told you. You were trained your whole life to be a perfect customer of the grid, to trust that the water flows when you turn the tap, that the heat hums up out of the vents, that the store shelf refills itself overnight like magic. And that trust, that beautiful, total comfort, is exactly what makes the first 6 hours of a blackout so dangerous. Because here's the villain of this story. And it isn't a villain at all. It's the just-in-time economy. A system so smooth, so frictionless, that ordinary competence just quietly atrophied out of an entire generation. Your grocery store holds about 3 days of stock. That's it. 3 days, and it's gone. The utilities are built to maximize uptime. They are not built to help you survive the downtime. And nobody profits from teaching you the first hour checklist because a self-reliant customer is a smaller customer. Now, don't misunderstand me. This isn't a conspiracy with a meeting in a back room. It's quieter than that, and worse. It's a comfort so complete that nobody, including you, ever had a reason to learn what to do when it stops. That's the whole thing. Say it once, believe it, and let's move. Here's the principle everything hangs on. In a grid-down event, you do not rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of preparation, and the first hour spends resources you will never get back. The moment the power dies, everything starts leaking. Water pressure bleeds down. Cold leaks out of that fridge. Information goes dark. Daylight burns off the clock. The people who come through this aren't stronger or braver. They just front-load the cheap, reversible moves while they still can. That's it. That's the secret. You do the easy things first before easy stops being an option, so the first 10 minutes, before water, before food, before any of it. You get situational awareness and you do it in the dark on purpose. Here's what nobody tells you about the first 10 minutes. Your single most important job is to find out how big this is. Because a blown transformer on your street and a regional grid collapse are 2 completely different emergencies, and you respond to them in opposite ways. So before you touch anything, you gather information while the getting's good. Check your phone. Is there signal? Is there data? Look out the window. Are your neighbors' lights out too? The whole block? Can you see further? The traffic light at the corner. The glow of the town on the horizon that's always there, and you never noticed until it wasn't? Turn on a battery radio if you've got one. I'll come back to that radio because it matters more than you think. You're building a picture. Small and local, you'll be fine by morning. Wide and dark and silent in every direction. Now you're in a different story, and you start rationing time immediately. 10 minutes. Learn the size of the thing, then move. Now. You've got your bearings. Here's the one that kills faster than almost anything, and it's the one people ignore because the tap still works. For now. Water. Let me give you a number, cold. When the grid goes down, a lot of municipal water systems keep pressure for only a few hours, sometimes less, because the pumps that push water into your pipes run on electricity. In many towns, gravity and pressure in the tower buy you maybe 2, 3, 4 hours. After that, the tap coughs and goes dry. And here's what everyone gets wrong. They wait until the water stops to start thinking about water. By then, it's over. So this is what you do in that first hour, while pressure's still up. You fill everything. Your bathtub, a standard tub, holds 40 to 80 gallons, and there's a $2 rubber stopper or a 50-cent silicone drain cover that makes it hold. Fill it. Then fill pots, pitchers, clean trash cans, every container in the house. And write this down. That tub water is not for drinking unless you have no other option. It's your flushing and washing water. Your drinking water comes from the clean containers and, here's the one people forget, from your own water heater. That tank behind the wall holds 40 to 50 gallons of clean, drinkable water. There's a drain valve at the bottom. Learn where it is tonight. That's a resource sitting in your house right now that most people die of thirst next to. A human being needs about a gallon a day. Do the math on your household and know your number before you're rationing sips in the dark. You've got water handled. Now the thing that panics people first, even though it won't kill you fastest, power and communication. The lights. I'll tell you a short story. In that hurricane grid down I mentioned, by the second night, the thing that broke people wasn't the dark. It was not knowing. Rumors ran wild because nobody had information. A man 2 streets over told everyone the water was poisoned. It wasn't, but half the block believed him because there was no signal, no radio, nothing but each other's fear. So here's your move. Power comes in 2 jobs and you keep them separate. Job 1 is light, and light is cheap. A couple of good headlamps beat any handheld flashlight because they leave your hands free, and a box of them runs $20. Save your phone battery like it's oxygen. Screen brightness all the way down. Airplane mode when you're not checking in, because a phone with 4% is useless and a phone at 60% is a lifeline. Job 2, and this is the one people skip until it's too late, information. A cheap hand crank or battery emergency radio, $15 to $30, that pulls in NOAA weather and AM broadcasts. That little radio is the difference between knowing there's a boil water order and drinking something that puts you down. Buy one this week. It sits in a drawer for 10 years doing nothing, and then one night, it's the most valuable object you own. All right. Pay attention to this next one because the calendar is about to turn on you. Heat and food. The part of your body that starts negotiating with the cold. Here's a hard fact from field medicine, and I've seen it firsthand. Cold kills quietly, not in a dramatic shiver and collapse. It comes for you slow, through a house that's dropping 2, 3 degrees an hour once the furnace dies, and it goes after the very young and the very old first. Hypothermia can set in at indoor temperatures you'd never think were dangerous. The 50s, if you're wet, still, and underfed. So don't heat the house. That's the mistake. You heat the person and you heat one room. Pick your smallest room, close the doors, hang blankets over the windows, and you all live in there together. Body heat is free heat. Layers trap air, and trapped air is what keeps you warm. So it's better to wear 3 thin layers than 1 thick coat. Now, food. That fridge from the start of this, keep it shut. Sealed, it holds about 4 hours. A full freezer holds close to 48 hours if you don't open it, and a half-full one about 24. So you eat the fridge food first in order of what spoils fastest, and you leave the freezer sealed as your reserve. And whatever you do, and I mean this, never ever run a generator or a grill or a camp stove inside the house or the garage for heat. Carbon monoxide is invisible. It has no smell, and it kills whole families in their sleep every single winter. That's not a scare line. That's the coroner's report, year after year. Heat comes from bodies, blankets, and a small, tight room. Never from combustion indoors. Now, the last one, and it's the one people either obsess over or ignore completely. Security. And I want to correct a myth right up front. The myth is that grid-down security is about standing guard with a weapon against roving mobs. That's a movie. In the real thing, and I've watched it happen, the danger of the first 72 hours isn't raiders. It's your own good neighbors making bad, panicked decisions because they're scared and unprepared. Security in the early days is mostly about not becoming a target and not becoming a casualty. So, keep your preparations quiet. The house that's blazing with generator light and cooking smells, while the whole street sits dark. That's the house everyone remembers when they get desperate on day 4. Gray is good. Blend in. Keep your doors locked. Keep a plan for where your family gathers. And know your neighbors before the lights go out, not after. Because the single strongest security asset you will ever have is a street full of people who know your name and have your back. A community that trusts each other doesn't turn on each other. That's the truth the movies never sell you. Let me be honest with you about the limits here, because I won't pretend I've handed you everything. This checklist gets you through the first hours and the first days. The sprint. It does not make you self-sufficient. If the grid stays down for weeks, you are in a genuinely different world. And food storage, sanitation, and medical needs become their own long studies that no single video solves. I'm giving you the opening moves. The opening moves are what most people fail, and getting them right buys you the time to figure out the rest. Don't mistake the sprint plan for the marathon plan. And one plain safety note, because getting this wrong undoes everything. Water that isn't from a sealed source or your heater tank. You treat it before you drink it. Boiling for 1 full minute kills what'll make you sick. If you can't boil, unscented household bleach, 8 drops per gallon, wait 30 minutes. And that carbon monoxide rule from a minute ago, that isn't a suggestion. It's the line between an inconvenience and a funeral. Respect both of those and you've eliminated the 2 ways most people actually die in a blackout. Here's an old-timer technique that costs you nothing. My grandfather kept what he called a cold box before he ever had a fridge. When the power's out and it's winter, the outdoors is your refrigerator, a sealed cooler set outside in the shade, or a box in an unheated garage holds your food better than that dead fridge ever will. And in summer, the old trick was the clay pot cooler, a smaller pot inside a larger one, wet sand packed between them, a damp cloth over the top. As the water evaporates, it pulls heat out, and the inside stays cool enough to keep vegetables for days. No electricity, just physics your great-grandparents knew and you were never taught. That's the comfort again. It made us forget things that used to be common sense. Now zoom out with me for a second. Every one of these moves is small. A rubber stopper, a $15 radio, knowing where a drain valve is. None of it is heroic. But that's exactly why it works. Because the disaster isn't going to be heroic either. It's going to be ordinary and boring and slow. And it's going to reward the person who did the ordinary, boring, cheap things first. You don't need to be the strongest person on your street. You just need to be the one who already knew the order. So here's what you do this week. 1. Find your water heater's drain valve and know how to use it. 2. Buy a hand crank emergency radio and put it in a drawer. 3. Get 2 headlamps and a stash of batteries. 4. Pick your one warm room right now before you need it. And 5. Go meet one neighbor you don't know yet. That's it. 5 things, a single weekend. Now, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what's the one thing in your house you'd fill with water in that first hour? And do you actually know where your water heater valve is right now? Yes or no? Be honest. And next time, I'm going to open on a different scene. A car, stalled on the shoulder, engine dead, on a night when the whole highway went dark at once. Because there's a version of grid down that catches you away from home, with none of this ready. And what you do in the first 5 minutes in that car is a whole different checklist. I'll see you there. Stay ready, stay quiet, and stay kind. That's how you get through.